But I am proud of those of you who decided to try to come up and see what you could get. Unit 6. Equations. Day 4. Today we're doing two things. So now we're actually going to combine distributing and combining. This is not what we're doing today, but I like to refresh our memories. We've done many warm-ups with order of operations. Okay, we've done order of operations before. I even wrote the order of operations down on the board yesterday. So what I'm asking is, what is the first step in order of operations? What do we do first? Parentheses. Okay, so your teachers have taught you PEMDAS, right? We've all heard PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, whatever it happens to be, but P is parentheses. You need to sit up. Okay. So parentheses is wrong. That's only part of what you need to do. The first thing in order of operations is grouping symbols. You can stare me down, but you need to do your work. Okay, grouping symbols include parentheses, but also include brackets, include absolute value signs, square roots, cube roots, anything that says this stuff inside of this needs to go first. Okay? So grouping symbols. If there's something to do inside of the parentheses or inside of the brackets or inside, that's what you do first. Well, great. We haven't done much with grouping symbols. What about number 2? What's that second step in order of operations?
Exponents.
What?
Exponents.
Exponents. Which we've seen very rarely. Okay, so we've got grouping symbols, we've got exponents. I'm telling you right now, for what we're doing, those are not critical. Okay, for combining and distributing, that's not what we're looking for first. Here's where it becomes importante. What is step 3? And it's not just one thing. Brian?
What?
Nope. Tegan?
Multiply and divide.
Multiply and divide. It could go in the order of multiply, then divide. Or it could go divide, then multiply. Because we read from left to right. So if you're reading a problem and it's multiplying then dividing from left to right, great. But if it's dividing first then multiplying, you have to do that first. Okay? But you've done order of operations. Now here's my question, Mr. Bush. Because 9 other people thought that your problem was perfect. Okay? Grouping symbols. There were grouping symbols in your problem. Yes, there were parentheses. Was there anything to do inside those parentheses? Did you have to add or do anything in the parentheses? No, because they weren't like terms. There was no exponents, right? Your first step was subtracting. Yes? Show me where subtracting is. Is it there? No. So I expect to see that. Like, I'm glad that you did that example because that's a common mistake. When we are combining like terms and distributing, your first step has to be to multiply. If we're multiplying, that means we have to distribute first. The final step is to add and subtract. Or subtract and add. Okay, you have to multiply before you add and subtract. There are no two ways around it. Have to multiply before you can add and subtract. Like this lesson takes maybe 5 more minutes because we're going to do 3 or 4 examples and that's it. You've seen all of this already. 3x minus 7, 2x plus 4. So, here is a problem similar to what I asked you and your partner to do yesterday and say, hey, try to come up with a way to teach it. Okay? Well, I'm going to teach it to you. We're going to simplify this. Simplifying, we are always going to follow the order of operations. Are there grouping symbols? Well, yeah, there are. It's right here. Can I do anything inside? Can I say 2x plus 4? Well, no, because this has a variable, this is a constant. We can't add our coefficients with variables with constants. So nothing there. There are no exponents. There's no squareds, there's no thirds, nothing. So we have to multiply and divide. Any time that I see parentheses, the first thing I should check for is there anything directly in front of it? Because that would tell me I'm going to be distributing. What do I need to distribute in this problem? Weston?
-7.
Very good. I am going to distribute the -7, and I'm going to show this by -7 multiplied by 2x. -7 multiplied by +4. Okay? I haven't written any new numbers yet. All I've done is shown the multiplication. Have I touched at all the first term of 3x?
No.
No. What do we think happens with this term here? Is it getting multiplied to anything? No. What do you think, Kelly?
It's brought down.
Very good. You bring it straight down. If you don't touch it, bring it down. So now we can do our multiplication. -7 multiplied by 2x is -14x. -7 multiplied by +4 is -28. So we're still following the order of operations. Now we've done multiplication. There is no division, so now we're at adding and subtracting. You don't add and subtract your like terms until the very end. What are my like terms, Mr. Irvin? I know you missed a couple days. What do you think your like terms are?
3x and -14.
Very good. You already got this rock solid, man. So I've got 3x's minus 14x's. Mr. Mahaney, all right? So we keep the x. 3 minus 14, those are different signs. With different signs, we forget the signs, and we subtract. That gives me 11, so now I have 11x. But which was my big number? My big number is 14. Find the original sign. It's -11x. So again, I ask, we've circled and dealt with 2 of them, but what about our constant? Izzy, what happens to this constant of -28? Yeah, you bring it down. And I cannot combine variables and constants. From here to here is simplified. Questions on that? Not very hard, right? Now that you've seen it, it's not really hard. Okay, let's try it on. -6x minus 2 plus 14. Okay, Cole. Is there anything that I need to do inside of my grouping symbols? No, because I can't add my x's in my constant. Okay? Are there any exponents, Cole? No. Do I need to multiply or divide?
No.
There's no multiplying? Well, the 14 is a constant way out here. Are there parentheses, Cole? Let's go back that way. Are there parentheses?
Yes.
Is there something smack dab in front of the parenthesis? What is it? Oh, Cole, I love what you said there. Cole didn't just say there's a negative out in front of the parentheses. He said there's a -1. When it's just a negative, you need to know that there's this invisible, like imaginary 1 right there. So what are we going to multiply, Cole? Yeah, we're going to take this -1 and multiply it to the 6x. That gives me -6x. Then I'm going to take my -1 and I'm going to multiply it to the -2. -1 multiplied by -2. A negative multiplied by a negative, Brendan? Positive. 2. Okay, am I done? Macy, am I done right there?
No,
Why not?
because you still have positive 14.
What do I do with that positive 14?
You just bring it down.
Good. Because we didn't touch it. Come on down. So we're there. Okay, Nevaeh, now what?
Now you have to find the ones that I would like.
Okay, so like terms, go ahead.
So to make positive 2
Mm-hmm.
and positive 14.
Positive 2, positive 14. Those are constants. So 2 plus 14 is 16. Am I done? What else do I need to do?
You need to do that -6x.
Does it go in front or behind the 16?
And so
In front. I always want my variables out in front. So now I have -6x16. Is that correct?
you know,
Why not?
you need a positive
Where?
in front of 16.
Because when we added 2 plus 14, it gave me a positive 16. There has to be some either positive or negative between my terms. So it's a positive 16. Question so far? Is anybody like, oh my gosh, this is so hard? Right? No. Okay. Last one for the day. Well, last one I'm going to do with you for the day. Because you also see problems like this. 4, 3x minus 2 plus 5, 4 minus 3x. Okay, Noah. What first, brother?
Start with 4.
Okay. So I box that in.
Yeah. And then you have to do sugar copy.
Okay. So
3x and
what does that give me?
12x.
Good.
Then multiply it by -2.
Very good, sir. That gives me?
8. -8.
Good. Okay, am I done with that first section? Okay. Yeah. What do we need to do with the rest, though? Mr. Mahaney, what am I going to do next?
Maybe box 5.
What kind of 5?
Positive 5.
Good.
And multiply it by the other numbers.
Okay, so I'm taking 5 and I'm multiplying it by what?
Positive 4 and -3x.
Very good. Loved how you used that language. So what's 5 times 4? Do I just put 20 here?
For the addition sign,
Good, because it's a positive 20. Good. 5 times the -3x?
15x, or -15x.
Very good. So now I'm done with the multiplying. So now we are going to combine like terms. I always want the variables first. Okay, Ryan, I'm picking on you. I know you haven't been here for 2 days. What are my like terms now?
It'll be 12x and 15x.
12x and what kind of 15x?
Negative.
Good, you have to include the sign with your term. So now I have 12 minus 15 because we know that if we're combining our x's, well, we're going to be stuck with x's. It's kind of like real life. You're stuck with your x for some reason. So 12 minus 15 then gives me negative 3x. Good. What else can we combine, Cooper?
Negative 8 and positive 20.
What are those things called, those terms? What is negative 8 and positive 20 called? Constants. Good. So I can add negative 8 plus 20. That gives me positive 12. I cannot combine my variables with a constant. Questions on how we are doing this? Now listen, your homework. You've got the next 20 minutes to do it. You should finish before you leave. I don't want you to have homework for Monday. I also want to give you time if you have questions to ask. On Monday, we will review the homework. We'll do a couple practice problems, and then for the last 20 minutes of class, you will have 8 questions as a quiz. So you will have a quiz on Monday. Okay?